I was introduced to the Negro Leagues as a youngster when I watched the barnstorming games with my stepdad in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, as the black teams took the white teams to the cleaners. It was some of the best baseball I've ever seen played, but what impressed me even more was the gentlemanly behavior of the black players. They were frequently cursed and mocked by the opposing team and fans, and there was not one retaliation. God, was I impressed. Those images remain with me till I die.
Tonight we have some wonderful guests, including future Hall of Famer Leon Day, who lives right here in Baltimore. I'll read off a list of his wondrous accomplishments on the mound and at bat in just a little bit. But before I forget, let me tell you that Leon came to the studio in the style to which he should be accustomed by Ron Renoff's Chesapeake limousine service with Brother Frank at the wheel. And let me tell you, hiring a limo is not as expensive as you may think. Certainly it's not free. Tonight it was. Actually, it was charity of Ron. Thank you, Ron. And it's well worth the satisfaction, particularly on special occasions, of not dealing with directions, parking, losing your car. And we've used the services of Chesapeake Limo for about 20 years.
Assisting Leon is the president of American Baseball Classics, Lee Sherman, whose establishment is down there at the Inner Harbor. Lee brought some Negro baseball caps and photographs to be awarded as prizes tonight and on future programs. And to tell us a little bit about his store, another guest this hour will be baseball historian Todd Bolton, chairman of the Negro League Committee of the Society for American Baseball Research, or SABR. Todd will update us on the symposium taking place February the 8th, 9th, next week, called The Athlete in Black America 1850 to 1950, taking place at the John Brown Museum in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia.
Also joining us tonight will be many of the people who contributed to making Leon Day's day. Our day, too. Such a great success. It was a thrill for everybody. If you saw Leon on TV, you noticed he was wearing a Newark Eagles baseball jersey. In fact, he's wearing it again tonight. Still looks clean, pressed, wonderful. Guess you haven't pitched many games in it yet, huh?
Nope.
No dust on it yet. This shirt was created especially for Leon with his own personal number 10 on the back. Jerry Cohen of Ebbetsfield Flannel will stop by for a few minutes. And atop Leon's head, and he's got it on tonight too, it's going to be warm, I think, a little bit, these wool caps, you saw a Newark Eagles cap courtesy of Steve Valeri's Roman ink.
And Sandlot Legends Neil Lester, who, boy, what a commercial we got here, huh, friends? But all these guys donated stuff. Sandlot Legends Neil Lester, who manufacture Negro League pennants, will stop by to present one of Newark Eagles pennants to Leon Day. By the way, these pennants, hats, shirts, photos of these players, and much more are all available locally at Lee Sherman's store, American Baseball Classics, down where? At the Inner Harbor, of course. And second hour, we'll be joined by Hall of Famer Monty Irvin, who will give us a player's comparison view of the Negro Leagues versus the white major leaguers. Third hour, we'll hear from Larry Lester, treasurer and historian of the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, Missouri, for the historical and researcher's view of black baseball in America. We especially look forward to your calls that hour, and of course, Leon Day and Todd Bolton are invited to stay with us through the entire program, but I don't think we're going to make it through the entire show. It depends on how much energy we got, right, guys? We apologize, friends, for the lengthy introduction tonight, but realizing how few of you listeners were aware of the Negro Baseball Leagues, much less the star player who resides to this day right here in Baltimore, we decided to fill you in before we get down to business. Leon Day was born in Alexandria, Virginia on October 30th, 1916. A versatile player, Leon played both second base and the outfield in his 22-year career. He was a switch hitter who was consistently around the 300 mark. One time, Day was locked in a 0-0 pitching battle with his old rival, Satchel Paige. Leon settled matters by homering off Satch in the ninth inning to score the game's only run and pocket the victory. As a matter of fact, Day won 3 out of 4 starts against Paige, and his 7 East-West All-Star Game appearances stand as a record for the Negro Leagues.
Leon played professional baseball for 22 years, summer and winter, in half a dozen countries. He appeared in a record 7 Negro League All-Star games between 1935 and 1946 and set an All-Star record by striking out a total of 14 batters. His best season was in 1937 when in league play he finished the 61-game season going 13-0 with a .320 average. You know, I was telling Leon I made this terrible mistake when I was making a comment on his wonderful Leon Day, and I said his batting average, I abbreviated 3-0, and I really did mean 300, and I said I was so terribly embarrassed. I got it right tonight, a 320 average. During winter ball in 1939 to 1940, Leon Day established a new Puerto Rican league record for strikeouts in a single game with 19. He also led the league that winter with 168 strikeouts. In 1942, Leon Day established a Negro League record by striking out 18 Baltimore Elite Giants in a single game. Later that year, 1942, during the All-Star game, he and Satchel Paige each entered the game against each other in the 7th inning with the score tied 2-2. Leon faced 7 batters, struck 5 of them out, the last 4 in succession to end the game, and beat Paige 5-2.
In 1942, Leon was named to the Pittsburgh Courier's All-Star. Boy, we got a lot of stuff on you, Lee. I'm telling you, for the American team for the Negro Leagues, Day and Page were rated the 2 best pitchers, with Day being rated over Page. The paper said, quote, Leon Day is the best pitcher in Negro baseball, despite the fact that he was used daily either as a pitcher, outfielder, or infielder. In 1943, the year I was born, he was named by the Pittsburgh Courier as the outstanding moundsman in Negro baseball. In 1946, after 2.5 years in the Army, listen to this, guys, Leon came back and pitched an opening day no-hitter against the Philadelphia Stars. He went 9-4 that year, with a measly .469 batting average, topping the league that season in wins, strikeouts, innings pitched, and complete games.
And in 1951, at the age of 35, with Toronto in the AAA International League, Leon finished the season with a 1.58 earned run average. Leon Day spent the latter part of his career pitching, as you call it, AAA? Can I call it that?
Uh-huh.
AAA sounds, well, I know what that is. AAA baseball for Winnipeg and Brandon in the Canadian League, and finally retired at the age of 41 in 1956. Day began his playing career with the Baltimore Black Sox in 1934, the same year they moved to Chester, Pennsylvania. He returned in 1949 to play for the champion Baltimore Elite Giants. Most of his playing years, however, were spent with the Newark Eagles.
Monty Irvin says, quote, Day was as good as or better than Bob Gibson. Larry Doby notes that, quote, he didn't see anybody in the major leagues that was better. Well, welcome to 21st Century Radio's Hieronimus and Company, where knowledge comes first. Future Hall of Famer Leon Day.
That was a fine time you've been having the last couple of days, Leon. And we understand it's far from over because Governor William Donald Schaefer has something special planned for you in the weeks ahead.
Leon, in your opinion, what was the difference between black and white professional ball?
Well, the difference was the playing fields and the money to pay.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
You guys were making a lot more money than the white players, right?
Oh, a whole lot more.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I bet you were.
What was different about the field?
Well, they had better diamonds to play on. Their diamonds were, smoother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they were the same sizes?
Same size, bases and everything, same thing, but we played on some rough diamonds.
Yeah, I bet you did play on some rough diamonds.
And the pitching was a lot different, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Pitching was for real. They would throw at the batters, and try to knock them down and brush them back and things like that.
And that was legal, right?
That was legal, yeah. Umpires wouldn't say a word.
Wouldn't say a word, and even the managers would say,
throw at
them.
That's right.
Right? And it was your job to throw at them or you're in trouble, right?
So not only did you stand up and try to hit the ball, but you had to be careful you didn't get killed in the process.
You had to be ready to duck at all times.
Did you all wear batting helmets?
No.
No batting helmets either.
One guy, Willie Wells, wore a miner's helmet. One of the miner's caps?
Yeah.
He was the first one I seen to wear a helmet.
He must have been one of the first to get hit hard in the head. And he said, I think I need protection from that.
Now, there are some other pitches that were legal in the Negro Leagues that the white leagues weren't allowed to throw. Tell us a little bit about those, what we call illegal pitches.
Well, there was sandpaper. They'd use sandpaper to rough the ball up.
What would that do when they did that?
It'd make the ball, the wind get in the cut or the rough on the ball and make it move.
Mm-hmm.
You hold the cut up.
Yeah.
It'll go down. You hold it down, it'll go up.
Whoa.
Hold it on the side, you go that way, you know. And they would use needles.
Needles?
Gramophone needles. Stick it down in the line into the ball.
Yeah.
That'll make it move.
That'll make it move too. Whoa, boy.
Vaseline.
Vaseline?
Yeah.
Oh my
Put a
heavens.
little Vaseline on his leg and just do like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it, all right. What about spiking? You know, the reason why I say this is most people like to say, Hot Ty Cobb, he was one of the toughest base runners in the whole wide world because he'd spike you every now and then. Well, what about spiking in the Negro Leagues?
Well, if you got spike, you spike. See, what we'll do is try to get you.
Uh-huh.
If you spike one of my players, then everybody's after you.
You have any scars?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've got scars. I've been spiked.
So if you were, let's say, running around to first, the first baseman could spike you as you go to hit the base?
No, he'd have to look out for me spiking him.
So sharpening your spikes was a normal thing.
It's sharp.
Normal, you know, a lot of people make a lot of Ty Cobb sitting over there with his file, right, Todd? Sharpening his spikes. But from what I understand, most of the players carried little files in their back pocket and sharpened up in between innings. Baseball was a dangerous game then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, we've kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Now, as we noted, you guys made outstanding salaries, didn't you, Leon? You were.
Oh yeah, I started out with $60 a month.
$60 a month. Yeah. You think Eddie Murray will play for $60 a month? What about food money? You got some food money.
Oh, $1 a day.
$1 a day. Well, that'd buy you almost a half a loaf of bread these days, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the food, obviously, salaries weren't the reason why you were playing.
No, we played because we loved the game.
You loved the game. Yeah. Now, the length of the playing season for good players, because there's a big difference between the length of the playing season for good players and the average players. Is that right?
Right.
Right. What happened? Why? What happened to you? Say, for instance, you finished your season with Newark Eagles. You guys won the championship. Then you go where? What do you do?
We go to Puerto Rico.
Go to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Some guys go to Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go down play in the winter.
Mm-hmm. You also played in a number of other places besides Puerto Rico. Where else you play?
Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela.
Down south.
Were the rules the same down there, like the spiking, the throwing the ball at the players?
Not as much as in the Negro leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we went down, it was only three Americans on a team.
Oh, that's right. They wouldn't allow more than a certain
more
number,
than
right?
3.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the American teams were better and they didn't want you to overstock the fields?
Yeah.
Well, friends, I know we're coming up on a break here. As a matter of fact, we're just about a little bit past our time of our break. We're going to take a pause here. We're going to pay for this show, and we'll be right back.
We're talking all 3 hours tonight about Negro baseball legends with Leon Day, right now, former star of the Newark Eagles, and many other contributors.
All right, friends, are you ready to win another prize? Get your notes out from last week's show. Listen to what you're going to win. A Negro League baseball cap courtesy of Lee Sherman and American Baseball Classics down there at the Inner Harbor. A signed Leon Day card from the Ron Lewis collection. A signed copy of Leon Day's statistics and biography compiled by Todd Bolton. A Negro League Baseball Museum brochure. That's correct, friends. An Ebbets Field flannel catalog. And a Josh Gibson baseball card from Eclipse Books. All 6 items. You should have taken notes. All right. Now, friends, we do have an important person on the line we want to get to immediately. His name is Jerry Cohen. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Jerry, because one of the most painful things I learned about the Negro Baseball Leagues is that not only were they not given pensions, but they were commonly not allowed to keep their own uniforms. Isn't that something, guys? We wanted to have Leon dressed in the Newark Eagles shirt for Leon Day, so we turned to Jerry Cohen, president of Ebbets Field Flannel in Seattle, Washington, to help. Ebbets Field Flannel created a special shirt for Leon with his own number 10 on the back, together with a replica of his cap. And those of you who saw Leon Day last Friday on the nightly news on all 4 TV stations in Baltimore have already seen Jerry's handiwork. So we asked Jerry to stop by so we could thank him for his generosity. Welcome to 21st Century Radio's Hieronimus and Company, where knowledge comes first. Jerry.
Hi, how you doing, Bob?
Oh, we're doing about an A+ right now, and that I seldom even get to an A, Jerry.
I've been listening. It's fascinating.
Well, your shirts and hat made a great impression not only on us, but also on the hundreds of thousands of viewers who saw them. In fact, if you look through your speaker, can you look through the speaker right there?
I'm doing that right now.
You can see your beautiful shirts being worn right now by Leon, Zoe, our executive producer, and myself, a 21st Century Radio ball team. Very quickly here, when did you begin manufacturing these items, Jerry?
Back in 1987.
And why did you get involved in creating baseball memorabilia?
Personally, I love the old uniforms, and I thought this would be a great way to pay homage to some of the great players of the Negro Leagues.
I have a question. Were all the old uniforms wool?
They were all wool flannel up until about 1971.
I mean, it's remarkable. They're beautiful. We're wearing them now, but they must have been hot as hell in the summer.
The earlier ones, before World War II, were heavier. They're even heavier than the ones you have on. And after the war, they started blending in some nylon and a little cotton, and they got them a little more wearable.
Now, in terms of making these uniforms, what's their cost?
The cost to us, they vary anywhere from about $50 up to $100 just to make, because what we do is we reproduce them authentically exactly as the players wore them. So all the original embroidery and sleeve patches and felt sewn-on lettering, we recreate.
Tell us a little bit about some of the new items you're offering.
Well, we've got a lot of new things coming out. One that you might be interested in your area, we've got the road jersey of the Baltimore Eli Giants from the 1940s coming out.
That's the one we're wearing now, isn't it, dear?
I think you got the home one there.
Oh.
It's beautiful. It's a sort of pinstripe with blue and red trimming.
Right.
Hey, what's the health patch on the arm?
The health patch was a morale campaign during World War II, and that began in 1942, and it was just to try to generate an interest in health across the country.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I think it tied in with the war effort.
Okay, so you have the road shirt, and what else?
Lots of new items from the Negro Leagues. We've got a great jacket from the New York Cuban Stars.
Oh, boy, you've got some great items in your catalog.
And also in your area, again, the old Baltimore Orioles from the International League. We've got a couple of shirts.
Oh, really?
From the 30s and 40s, right?
Oh, that sounds terrific. And then those of you, friends, who are interested in Ebbets Field flannels, we're giving out their catalogs to all of our winners tonight and in future weeks of our programming, as long as they last. And don't forget, you can call us here anytime for repeats of any phone numbers or addresses we give out over the air. Jerry, we want to thank you very much for helping us in Leon Day here in Baltimore and dressing us all up just fine.
My pleasure. Leon, what was your number with Toronto?
I think it was number 8.
Number 8? I'm going to send you one of those, too. I didn't know you played for them.
Oh, terrific.
Hey, what other teams, Leon? Maybe you rack up a whole league here of shirts. We'll give you all the rest of the numbers.
All right. Well, Jerry, we may be knocking on your door again sometime in the future to see what we can put, if we can put Dick Powell in one of his Baltimore Elite Giants shirts, because he's going to have, and he doesn't know this now, because he's probably not listening, but he's going to have his own day come at the end of the month. Can you help us out on that?
I sure can.
Thank you very much, Jerry Cohen of Ebbets Field Flannels. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Take care.
Leon, can we get a little bit back to daily life in baseball, or are we going somewhere else?
Yes, and then we want to go to Todd Bolton. I want to talk with him a bit, and then we have another presentation to Leon. Leon's consented to stay on with us a little longer into the second hour with Monty Irvin. Haven't you, Leon?
Yes, I have.
Yes, he has. He's full of energy now, friends.
It's warming up. We see him swinging that arm, getting ready to go.
And Todd's going to be sticking around, right, Todd? Can you? Because, we really appreciate it, because we have an awful lot of things to cover right about here. Now, where are we?
Well, we haven't really talked about what life was like during baseball season for you, your travel, food, the segregation, the length of the season. Why don't you tell us what it was like?
Well, in the South, it was pretty rough, because we had to, you couldn't get any place to sleep, and we couldn't go in the restaurant. You could go in, but you had to bring the food out, so we wouldn't eat in them, We'd go to a grocery store and get some bologna, cheese, milk, onion, loaf of bread, and eat in the bus.
And you basically went from one game into the car, and lots of times you did. You traveled 7 or 8 men in a car, right?
Yeah.
Not always a bus.
When I first started, we were riding cars.
And so you all would follow one another from town to town, stop when you could in a place you could find. How did it feel then as you approached a field? I mean, to me, feelings are something that never leave you. When you finally got to the field and you could put the travel behind you, what was the first things you all did?
Well, the first thing we did, we put on our uniforms and go out and start practicing. You know, run around, loosen up.
Yeah.
How long were your warm-up periods? Different from modern times?
Not about the same. We have infield about 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Now, you faced some mighty tough batters. Josh Gibson, Buck Leonard, Roy Campanella. Who was, in your opinion, the toughest to handle, and how did you pitch to him?
Well, Buck was the toughest of those three. I had to pitch Buck high and inside.
Yeah, I would have recommended that myself.
Yeah, high and inside.
Yeah.
Because he could hit a fastball. Sometimes we change up on him. Good fastball hitter.
Yeah.
What was your favorite pitch to throw?
Fastball.
That was your best, huh?
Yeah.
Did you put any needles in that ball?
No.
He's not a needler there.
No, never messed with it.
No, that's a good thing you didn't. One way or the other. Our friends, we do have a winner, so you folks can stop calling out there. Let's quickly put the winner online, ask him the question, and then move on, because we want to get to Todd Bolton.
Is this Luigi?
Yes, it is.
You've just won a whole bunch of stuff. A Negro League baseball cap courtesy of Lee Sherman, a signed Leon Day card from Ron Lewis Collection, signed copy of Leon Day's stats and bio compiled by Todd Bolton, a Negro League baseball museum brochure, an Ebbets Field flannel catalog, and a Josh Gibson baseball card from Eclipse Books. All 6 items are yours.
Hey,
Good
Luigi,
fellow.
are you a baseball fan?
Yes, I am.
You have any question for Leon Day?
I just, I've read about the Negro Leagues and everything, and I think his records were fantastic, and I want to congratulate him on his on everything he's done, on his accomplishments.
Thank you.
God bless everybody.
Thank you very much.
Now, before we get to some of those other prizes, I must pull Todd Bolton on the microphone. Come on over here, Todd. Batter up there, time. Yeah, how's your curveball there, Todd?
Turn the mic a little more towards you.
Yeah, you got to speak right into that microphone there.
There
Yeah,
you
don't
go.
be afraid of that. You can eat it up there. As you probably know, this is the beginning of Black History Month, and one good way to celebrate it is taking place on February 8th and 9th in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, at the John Brown Museum. It's called The Athlete in Black America, 1850 to 1950. It's a symposium, and joining us here to tell us about it is Todd Bolton, chairman of the Negro League Committee of the Society for the American Baseball Research. Did I get that right?
I'm a member. Dick Clark is our chairman.
Oh.
I'm a member of the Negro League Committee with
Well,
SABR.
Dick's going to beat me up now that I made you chairman.
I'll protect you, honey.
All right,
We'll
thank
get
you.
out both your bats.
Yeah, I got my Leon
One in
Day
each
back
hand.
now. All right, friends. Todd has been limoed around with Leon Day this weekend, and again, we owe our thanks to Chesapeake Limo Service and Ron Renoff. Todd, who is sponsoring this symposium?
It's being sponsored by the National Park Service, the Harpers Ferry Historical Association, Jefferson County NAACP, and Focus, a local substance abuse prevention organization in the area. So,
Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is scheduled for the symposium?
well, we're pretty excited about it. We've got a lot of special guests coming in. We're not only focusing on Negro League baseball, but also on black professional basketball before the color barrier was broken. So we have Leon Day from the Newark Eagles, his teammate Max Manning, Wilmer Fields from the Homestead Grays will be coming in, Jim Cohen from the Indianapolis Clowns, and Zach Clayton, who played with a number of Negro League teams. He also played professional basketball, and he was also the first black professional boxing referee in American history. And then a number of members of the Harlem Renaissance Five. In fact, we're going to have 5 of the 6 living members of the Harlem Renaissance Five teams of the 1920s and the 1930s. So it should be a real exciting weekend with some great professional black athletes.
I'm telling you, that sounds terrific. Now, you answered most of my questions. What are the costs, and who do you contact?
Well, there's no charge for the symposium.
No charge?
Excuse me?
No charge?
No charge for the symposium at all. Just you come into the park, and it's you would pay the park entrance fee, and that's $5 per vehicle. But the symposium is just it's an activity. You come and go as you like. That evening, we will have a banquet that's sponsored by the Historical Association and the NAACP, the cost for the banquet is $15. But the daily activities, there's no charge at all for that.
Now, I understand there's another important project that will be culminating this April the 4th in Baltimore, and we're going to have you on the show again, not just our local show, but our national show on this. It's called the Ben Taylor Memorial. Briefly, who was Ben Taylor, and why is the memorial necessary?
Well, Ben Taylor was one of the greatest first basemen in black baseball history. He and Buck Leonard are generally considered the two greatest first basemen. They didn't play during the same period. Ben started his career in 1908 with the Birmingham Giants and was really wrapping his career up when Buck started. In fact, he was Buck's first professional manager here in Baltimore with the Baltimore Stars in 1933.
Wow.
Ben, after coming here in 1926, spent the rest of his life in Baltimore and is buried here in Arbutus Memorial Park. About a year and a half ago, I was exploring the graveyard and discovered that he didn't have a gravestone, he didn't have a number, he didn't have anything. It was an unmarked grave. So got together, talked to Monty, and Leon, and some of the others, and we decided we would start a committee to raise funds to mark his grave, and we've been very successful in our efforts, and we have a ceremony planned for Saturday, April 4th at 1 p.m. at the Arbutus Memorial Park to formally dedicate the Ben Taylor Memorial.
Well, friends, I'd like to invite everyone. We're definitely going. I'm going to wear my hats and shirts and everything else, especially since it's just before the opening day.
That's right. And Todd's going to return with us in future shows to discuss this and other projects. Now, if you have an interest in black baseball, you should join the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, Missouri, and lend them your support to educate Americans about these forgotten sports heroes. And the telephone number at the Negro League Baseball Museum is area code 816-221-1920. That's 816-221-1920. And Larry Lester, their president, will be with us tonight at midnight.
Ah, yes. Midnight with Larry Lester. All right, let's get back to Leon Day, and then I want to talk with our good personal friend Lee Sherman. We got 1 minute? Yeah, we got 1 minute. All right. Let's get back to what? Break? You're going to give me a break now? All right, we're breaking now, friends. I've been overruled and thrown out. How do you like that? Thrown out at the plate.
At least you made it that far.
Yeah. Yes, friends, what's a ball game without a pennant? Well, when I first located an original Baltimore Elite Giants pennant for purchase, I realized it was a rare find indeed, but I didn't want to pay $100 for it. No, I didn't want to. Todd Bolton told me he used to get them for $10. Is that right? Oh, my.
I got them for free.
Soon after, however, I discovered that the original pennants had been reproduced and are truly affordable at $17 each. I've been waving mine around for about a month now, and tonight, Neil Lester of Sandlot Legends is presenting one of these beauties to Leon Day, a pennant from his former team, the Newark Eagles. Welcome to 21st Century Radio on WCBM, Neil.
Thank you, Bob.
Neil, what other pennants are available?
Well, we currently have 7. The teams are the Baltimore Elite Giants, the Homestead Grays, the New York Black Yankees, the Philadelphia Stars, New York Cuban Stars, and, of course, the Newark Eagles.
Now, we're presenting a Newark Eagles pennant to Leon Day, thanks to Sandlot Legends and Neil Lester. Neil, we're going to move on here, and we want to thank you very much for stopping by.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Get out there and strike them out there, Neil. Okay, Neil's going out to the mound now, friends. Now we can get back to 1 or 2 questions. Right, dear?
Yeah, well, we're being pointed to. Is there something
John.
you need from us?
John wants to go on the line here? All right, well, look, we're going to be generous. We're going to let John come on because John must have been involved in this one way or the other back in the old days. Hello, John.
Yes, good
John.
evening.
Speak up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Back in the early 20s, when I was just a shaver, I know that there was a baseball that was colored brown. Not dark brown, but I'd say medium. I want to know if anyone has known anything about that, or whether it was just an unusual thing.
Well, Leon's shaking his head no. Todd?
How about you, Todd?
The balls were shellacked in the past in order to preserve them a little longer. Back in the teens and the 20s, you used to see people shellac them, and they could yellow to a, kind of look a light brown or tan when they were shellacked.
Yeah, but I think what he's referring to is this is balls they were playing with, right?
That's right.
Right, John?
Yes.
Well, John, looks like we can't answer that question. Geraldine?
Unless Todd's explanation is what he's referring
Right,
to.
I think they were shellacked when people only could get a hold of one baseball. They'd slap the shellac on, and maybe it would hold them for the season.
Well, rawhide turns dark brown when you do
Right.
that. So.
It seemed to be a natural color, but Lord, it's gone way now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it is now.
Did you have a question for Leon Day or any of our other guests?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your call, John. We'll try to get a better answer on that one of these days. But I guess Todd's right. Maybe that was just to hold them together a little bit longer because balls were, you didn't have that many in the olden days, right?
No,
Right.
when I found out that for a regular game in the American leagues, they prepare 144 balls.
Yeah.
That is extraordinary. How many balls did you all have before a game?
I don't know, maybe about 3 dozen.
3 dozen or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 3
Now,
dozen.
Jackie Robinson's entrance into the major leagues certainly spelled the end for black baseball. Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson were both disappointed that they were not chosen to fulfill that destiny. Why do you think Jackie was the right man to integrate major league ball?
Well, I think he had played in college. He played against the white boys in college, and he was a college graduate. So I think that's why they took him.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of patience. He was able to take a lot of stuff. But, of course, Satchel said that it probably aged him considerably because he had to take a great deal of abuse.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
We talked to Gene Benson, I believe it was last week, and
Yeah.
he remarked that what he said to Jackie was, where you're going is a lot easier than where you've come from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's when Jackie was thinking, I don't know if I can do this in the white leagues. Well, he certainly did. You know, the world knows you as a soft-spoken gentleman who won't toot his own horn. You know that, Leon?
No, I don't.
Well, that's true. It's true. And many have said that because of this, Cooperstown hasn't given you the honor that you so richly deserve. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Leon. Okay? All right.
You better watch it. He's
You
got
ready?
a ball in his pocket.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one of those needle balls. Why do you belong in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think I belong in the Hall of Fame because I was a pretty good ball player.
Yeah.
Better than average, you know.
Better than average. This is a man sitting here who holds so many records, right? That's what they're called, records in the leagues. What was your most memorable moment in ball,
Opening day in 1946.
and why?
I pitched a no-hitter.
Pitched a no-hitter, opening day, 1946. Who'd you play against?
Philadelphia Stars.
Oh.
Who was the
Gene
first
Benson.
batter? It sounds like he knows it all.
Is that Gene? That's Gene Benson's team, right?
Yeah, Benson was there.
Oh, I bet you he didn't like that. That's right. Now, friends, we got a couple more minutes, and I do want to get to someone who has been a considerable help to me. You know, along the lines of baseball greats, friends. I'd like to wish my favorite ball player in the whole world, Babe Ruth, a happy birthday. And you can join in the celebration, by the way, of his 97th birthday this February 6th at the Babe Ruth Museum at 216 Emory Street from about 11:30 to 1:30 that day. Visitors to the museum are going to be treated to champagne and cake. Leon, how about you and I going down and having some champagne and cake? Absolutely free.
Okay.
The cake's going to be cut at 12 noon, and once again, the Babe Ruth Museum is located at 216 Emory Street in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, friends, one of the reasons why I mentioned that is we have in the studios a person by the name of Lee Sherman. Are you president of American Baseball Classics, Lee?
That's right.
That's right. I don't know how I guessed that. Now, the very first baseball shirt that I ever purchased was from Lee Sherman. It was Babe Ruth's baseball shirt, number 3, and a Babe Ruth hat. I liked his Babe Ruth hat so much, I bought 2 of them, right? One with a signature. How did you get involved in this, Lee?
I guess just a lifelong love of baseball, and decided to leave my career and open a store selling baseball memorabilia.
What was your career that you left?
I'm an attorney.
Now that is a great story. You left law to open a baseball store.
That's right.
Tell me, when you were a kid, what position did you play?
A little first base, a little pitcher.
Hey, Leon, there's somebody, you know, you take him out back here and give him a few tricks. Maybe you can pick up a third career.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And tell me the truth now, is it profitable? Is it almost as profitable as being a lawyer?
Well, I don't know about that, but it's a heck of a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Makes
I
your
bet
heart
you it
glad.
is. I bet you it is. Well, look, I've enjoyed going down there because he not only has hats and shirts and cards and books and a whole bunch of other stuff, but, I mean, it's just wonderful to see all that material in one place. Usually you got to go to a card shop to see this, and usually you got to go get a hat somewhere else, but it's all in one place. Mighty expensive territory down there at the Inner Harbor, though, right?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
We do
You
have
guys
to
pay
rent.
high rents. You guys pay high rents.
Lee, let me ask you, how do you decide what you're going to carry? I mean, there's so many options.
Well, we really try to get things that are classic in terms of baseball. It's part of our name, and it's really what we try to do. We look for old black and white photographs, just whether it's the major leagues or Negro leagues or other things, and we also emphasize the authenticity of our memorabilia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's really important.
Has the market changed much in recent years?
Well, I've only been in this for about a year, so it's exploded in the last few years, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we hope it explodes very large.
We know the Japanese
a very
love
large
baseball.
explosion. Yes, indeed. You're not Japanese, though, Lee, right? Not, right? I don't know how that got in there.
Because I was thinking of all the tourism business that goes
Ah,
on.
yes. Now, you also have, one of the first times I talked with you, we talked about Leon Day.
That's right.
Right? Why is he one of your most favorite players in the world?
Well, I met Leon Day, I guess it was last June, up in New York, and he autographed some things for us, and some of which we have in the store. And it was at that time I just started to realize how underappreciated he is as a ball player, and definitely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no two ways about
In fact,
that.
Todd, maybe you can talk a little bit about what people can do to help be sure that Leon Day is in the Hall of Fame.
Well, the only way that he can get in the Hall now is through the Veterans Committee. He is not eligible through the Baseball Writers Association, and the Veterans Committee has quite a job of considering former Negro League veterans, umpires, executives, 19th century players, and players that have been passed over by the Baseball Writers Association. And on this panel, unfortunately, there's only 3 former members of Negro League Baseball, Monty Irvin, Roy Campanella, and Buck O'Neill. So our efforts over the years have been to write to these members of the Veterans Committee, which I think there are 19 at present, and try to educate them about Leon's career, and also encourage them to listen to firsthand accounts of the 3 members of the committee who have seen him and can speak for him. And so that's been our effort, is education, because we feel once people are thoroughly educated that he's a shoo-in.
Do you happen to have an address that people could write to?
I
do you remember?
I have the address list for each member. We write them at their residence. So
Okay, so if people are interested in participating in that, they can write to us here, Hieronimus and Company.
Now, Leon, I heard from about 6 different authors, so I don't know really very much. The problem is you can read and read and read and not really know very much. I'm sure you're familiar with John Holloway's work and Jim Riley's work. Riley just absolutely adores you, as you well know. And, of course, there are a number of other authors. Now, the thing that I wanted to emphasize here was that the Negro Leagues weren't just one league. There were a number of them, right?
Yes, it was.
Tell us a little bit about that in the few minutes that we have here. And, of course, you're going to be with us a few more minutes when we get into the second hour, as long as you want to stay with our other guests. But tell us about how was it divided up?
Well, the teams on the East Coast were the Negro National League.
I see.
And teams out west was in the American League, Negro American League.
Which was older, the American or the National?
I think the American League, was older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ones on the East Coast comprised what teams?
New York Black Yankees, Cuban Stars, Newark Eagles, Philadelphia Stars, Baltimore United Giants.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now,
and the Homestead Grays.
Oh, the Homestead Grays. Boy, we can't forget them, right? Boy, that's some interesting people. You, of course, mentioned the Newark Eagles. You had some very interesting owners of the Newark Eagles, right?
Yes, Abe Manley was the owner.
Yeah, and his wife, Effa?
Effie.
Effie. Effie was pretty particular, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Leave it to women to know what they want.
Did she really insist on shining shoes and things
Oh,
like
no,
that?
she wasn't that.
Oh, she wasn't like that.
She wasn't like that.
You only like that, right, dear?
Oh, yes. I insist that you buff your tennis shoes every day.
Yes, indeed. All right. Now, out west, further out west. When we're talking about west, we're not talking about California right now. We're talking about
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Right. In Kansas City, what teams were out in that particular region?
Kansas City was the Kansas City Monarchs.
Monarchs.
Team out there.
Yeah.
They had Chicago American Giants. They had the St. Louis Stars. I think the Memphis Red Sox was in that.
Oh, Memphis Red Sox.
That league, and a couple more teams I can't remember.
Birmingham.
There is Birmingham.
Birmingham Black
Birmingham
Barons.
Barons, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's where Willie Mays played for a year, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
indeed. All right, so we got about a minute left to go before we end our show tonight. That is, this hour tonight, friends. One last question to Leon. Leon, in your opinion, what was the best team ever in Black and Negro League history?
The Newark Eagles.
The Newark Eagles. I wonder why he said that. I think Effie must have
Told him
must
if
have
he
given you a
didn't.
phone call. Well, friends, next hour we're going to talk with Monty Irvin. Oh, gosh. You know, all of us know about Monty Irvin as he played in the White Leagues, but did you know he had 11 years in the Negro Leagues? Only hitting a paltry 379, I think it was, somewhere around there. Can you imagine a player hitting over 370? You did that. Did you do that, Leon? Yeah, Leon did that. I did that once in Little League. But
You did not.
Yes, I did. I hit over 400.
Prove it. You know what he always says to me when I say something? Let's see the proof. Let me see your stats.
Well, okay, dear. We're going to show you my stats next hour when we have Monty Irvin joining us. Leon's going to be here for a while, as long as he wants. Todd, Lee, and Geraldine. Geraldine's got a good pitching arm herself. We'll be back in just...
Catcher. She caught Leon.
Did she really? Good job. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
And many other individuals were abundantly generous, helping making Leon Day's day special. Leon is sitting here wearing his Newark Eagles shirt, custom made by Jerry Cohen's Ebbetsfield flannel, and sporting a Newark Eagles hat from Steve Valeri's Roman ink. He's also waving his Newark Eagles pennant created by Sandlot Legends, courtesy of Neil Leister, and he's autographing. We have this man busy tonight.
Oh, boy.
Leon Day baseball cards, thanks to Dean Milani and Kat Ironwood at Eclipse Books, and painted postcards from the Negro League Baseball Players Association, Ron Lewis Collection, thanks to Richard Berg and Ed Schauder.
Now, it may sound like one long commercial to you, friends, but I believe strongly in supporting all those organizations and people who shed light on Negro League baseball in America. You want to know why? Well, when you research the Negro Leagues, you'll find out why. You're going to discover many great ball players. Yes, many, many players who should be in the Hall of Fame. And friends, you're really going to cry when you learn of the adversities these great American sports heroes had to accept just to play ball in America. Poor wages, endless riding to games in cars and buses overnight, poor food if they could get it, sleeping in buses because no hotels would accept them, and abuse, yes, abuse that few white people would tolerate. They triumphed over all these detractions and still came out on top.
And with God as our witness, we whites have no idea how it felt to be considered a second or third class human being and yet go out on the field, beat your opponents. The Negro Leagues were beating their white competitors so embarrassingly that the baseball commissioner Landis had to put a stop to it, which he did. And our hearts break when we read and hear the atrocities heaped upon our fellow Americans because of the color of their skin. But we rejoice in their overcoming all of the prejudices and maltreatment in such a way that we are put to shame for our ignorance, stupidity, and bigotry. Black History Month is the appropriate time to review the great heroes of the game, many who have remained unrecognized by the nation at large. Bob and I have dedicated ourselves to righting some of the wrongs, and we encourage you to do that also by supporting the Negro League's Baseball Museum located in Kansas City, Missouri. You can call them at 816-221-1920. That's 816-221-1920 to find out how you can help.
Next hour, we'll be joined by the treasurer of the Negro League's Baseball Museum, Larry Lester, to discuss the history of the Negro Leagues in America. Please join the museum. Every prize given out tonight will include one of their brochures. And now we have February 23rd to look forward to on WCBM, because we're planning a 3-hour special to focus on Baltimore's Negro Leagues, the Black Sox, whose hat Zoe and I wear, and the Light Giants, whose shirts we're wearing right now.
And our guest this hour is Hall of Famer Monty Irvin. Most of you recognize his name because of his record with the New York Giants, with whom he spent 8 glorious years beginning in 1948. Monty led the New York Giants into the World Series in 1951, hitting .312 with 24 home runs, and in 1954 batting .329 with 21 home runs. In the 51 series, he batted .458, 11 for 24. But when Monty entered the white majors, he was a 30-year-old rookie, having already acquired 11 seasons' experience in the Negro Leagues with the Newark Eagles. His lifetime average in the Negro Leagues was .373, one of the highest lifetime averages ever recorded. Monty hit, there we go, thank you. Monty hit .395 in 41 and went on to serve 4 years in the Army, returning in 1946 to hit .394.
A measly .394. And there are some guys
amazing
in the Hall of Fame with .260 averages. That's kind of amazing, isn't it, friends? Well, he was a great all-around player in fielding, throwing, hitting, and was considered by many to have been a better choice than Jackie Robinson to be the first black man to cross the color barriers. Until recently, Monty worked for the Baseball Commissioner's Office of Public Relations. Elected to the Hall of Fame in 1973, Monty continues to serve on many committees and is also the president of the Negro League Ball Players Association, located at 425 Park Avenue, New York, 10022. The NLBPA, as they are known, has issued a series of 30 gorgeous full-color postcards depicting the Negro League stars, designed by artist Ron Lewis. Leon Day was signing his Ron Lewis cards at City Hall Friday for his many fans. Boy, there were so many. I couldn't believe how many people were there. We have a videotape of one endless line. It was just wonderful. And he's also presented some to us as prizes for tonight's and future shows.
Welcome to 21st Century Radio's Hieronimus and Company, where knowledge comes first, Monty. And say hello to your former teammate, Leon Day, about whom you've spoken literally in glowing terms for decades. Go right ahead.
Are you there, Monty?
Are you there, Monty?
I just want to say hi to you and congratulations on a great ceremony. I understand that the city of Baltimore really turned out and really honored you, and I'm telling you, in honoring you, they couldn't have honored a finer baseball player, a finer fella, than a finer friend than anybody could possibly want.
Thanks
I'm just
for that,
happy
Monty.
to have known you, I tell you, or to know you now.
Thanks for that, Monty.
Well, he's been pitching pretty good. He doesn't throw any needle balls at us yet tonight, Monty.
Good.
In your opinion, Monty, why should Leon Day be in the Hall of Fame?
Leon was one of the finest all-around ball players I've ever seen, but mainly he was just a great pitcher. When I say great pitcher, if one game you wanted to win, you wanted Leon Day out there on the mound, because he was fast, he had great control, he had a big heart, and he could get the ball, over the plate, and he'd battle you all the way until the last man was out. I remember one game we were playing, and we didn't, we weren't hitting very much. So he said, just give me one run. That's all I need. So we still floundered at the plate. So he went up and hit a home run himself and won his own ball game. He said, "I'll fix you. You suck me, yuck." You remember that, Lee?
Yeah.
Who were you playing, Monty?
I think we were playing Baltimore Elite Giants.
Oh.
And the other thing what I liked about him so much too was the fact that he had a great pickoff move. He could spin in a half a second and pick you off first base. Had a great move, and he could really field his position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one time, our center fielder hurt himself, and so we didn't have anybody to put in. Leon said, "I can play it," and he went out and played center field for 4 or 5 days better than our regular center fielder. And another time, our second baseman got hurt, and he went in and played better second base than the second baseman could. He said, "I'll show you guys how to play," and he sure did. That's why I'm saying he's one of the finest all-around players I've ever seen. You know, a lot of people talk about Martin DeHigo, you know, for playing, you know, different positions and pitching and hitting and all. I'll take Leon. I'll take Leon Day over anybody that I've ever seen as an all-around baseball player, and I sincerely mean that.
Now, Monty, you've played in both the Negro and White leagues.
Yes.
Did they play the same kind of baseball?
Well, in the Negro leagues, we you know, had a lot of talent, but we played more individual baseball. In the major leagues, you played, you know, it was a team effort. What I'm saying is, you know, a lot of hit and runs, you know, hit behind the runner, and, you know, throwing to the right base and backing up to, you know, the bases and so on. So it was the majors are a little more organized that way. But once the Negro leaguers learned the major league way of doing things, then, you know, it was easy because they had the native talent. All they needed to do was just train it a little bit.
Was there a difference in terms of the challenge afforded by both leagues, meaning which one was more challenging?
Oh, well, you see, in the Negro leagues, we didn't face a good pitcher every day. In the major leagues, you will. Now, you've got to go out and you've got to, you know, certain plays you've got to make every day. And if you're not, then, and if you don't make them, then, you know, they'll find somebody else to put out there. And until you have to play on a little more pressure, because, you know, you got a lot of people in the ballpark, and, you know, you got the writers who are looking at you every day and so on. So you want to perform well. So I would say the pressure is a little more in the major leagues than it was in the Negro leagues. Negro leagues, if you didn't make the play, then, you know, it's just I'll make it next time. But the talent was there, and once those guys became trained, it was easy, real easy.
As we noted last hour, black ball was tough. Pitchers threw at you, runners jumped on you and cut you pretty bad. Gene Benson last week told us that one of his uniforms was torn off by the cleats of a base runner.
Oh, that's true. They would spike you and go out of the way to spike you. And the pitchers, you know, they didn't mind knocking you down. I mean, they didn't, you know, throw just to brush your back. Sometimes they threw to, you know, knock your brains out. So you had to kind of watch that too. In fact, what we had to do, we had to learn how to duck before we learned how to learn how to hit. That was a saying. Learn how to get out of the way of the ball. And some of those pitchers were, you know, pretty vicious. And they threw it really well so much until he went out and found a miner's cap one day and came to the ballpark and used it in a game. I think it was that was the beginning of helmets. But it was tough like that. You know, some of the fields that we played on were not as good. You know, and you know, the treatment all around wasn't nearly as good as it was in the majors. You know, the traveling, and of course, you know, we had to catch a sandwich or eat, get a meal wherever we could. So it was tough like that. But again, those same guys that you know, we played in the Negro Leagues, you know, guys like Joe Black and Junior Gilliam and all the rest of Mays and myself and all the rest of Ernie Banks, you know, Hank Aaron. Once we got to the majors, it became easy because we had already been through the hard knocks. Yeah, all we had to do then was just, you know, do the right thing because it was easier then because, you know, you got in the habit of playing one way, and which was the right way. It was easy.
Leon had something to say there.
Monty.
Yeah.
I never threw at you, did I?
No. Just 4 or 5 times every time you faced me in Puerto Rico. And one time I asked him, I said, "Well, why are you throwing at me?" I said, "I'm only hitting 220, so I don't want you to start." True story. Yeah.
Monty.
In Aguadilla, Puerto Rico.
And of course, you probably both remember what year, what day, the time of the day.
Yeah, that's right. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Let me ask you, there's been a lot of comparisons made between Satchel Paige and Leon Day.
Yeah.
How are these two players alike? And I'm being told we have to go to a break.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to a break, and we'll let Monty think about this one because he's probably going to have to study up on it. Right, Monty?
Okay.
You study up on that question, and we'll be right back after we sell everything we possibly can to everybody out there in Baltimore.
Monty, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Now, we asked you before the break there have been a lot of comparisons made between Satchel Paige and Leon Day. How were they both alike, and how were they different? And who, in your opinion, was a better player, and in what way?
Well, alike, I'll give you the sameness of them.
Okay.
Both of them were real good competitors. They were stingy. That meant that you didn't get many runs off them. Both of them threw very hard, and you could figure if you got 1 or 2 runs off them, then you were lucky. Leon was a much better hitter, much better fielder, and had a much better pickoff motion than Satchel. Not that Satchel wasn't didn't have a good one. You couldn't first of all you had to get on first off Satchel because he was a strikeout pitcher, and so both of them it's just a paper thin difference. In their ability. Both had played a very long time, and both of them were, just real stars in the Negro League. Now, Satchel, of course, he came up early, got a lot of publicity, and always did what he said he was going to do.
What do you mean by that?
When I say that, I mean this. He would come out sometime, or even put it in the paper sometime. He'd say, I'm going to be real stingy today. In fact, he said, I'm not giving up anything. And he went out and did that a few times, and the papers picked that up. And he almost never disappointed. And he told Josh one time, he said, big man, he says, just because we play on the same team doesn't mean that, I'm not the best. I'm not the best of the best of the two of us. And Josh said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I'm going to teach you who the boss is."
Ooh.
And he got 2 outs, bases, and walked the bases full to get to Josh, and threw him. I think he threw him 3 pitches, and so again, that proves that he was just a terrific competitor and always did what he said. Now, on the other hand, Leon was quiet and got the job done too, So we said, Lee, how do you feel? He said, well, just give me a run, and that's all I need. That's the kind of guy he was. Mm-hmm. Quiet but very efficient, and would always get the job done for you.
Well, I can see Leon sitting here, all these thoughts going through his mind. He's smiling, but he's not saying a word.
Yeah, well, I know he's that type. He would never say, brag on himself, or he'd always let somebody else.
Did you ever sing with him?
Excuse me?
Did you ever sing with him? I hear he has a nice singing voice.
Yeah, I was a member of the quartet.
Oh yeah, who were the other members?
Well, we had Len Pearson and Len Hooker, Day and myself.
Do you have any recordings of the time?
No, but we could sing, I tell you.
Hey, maybe we can engage you two right now. I said to Leon, let's hear you sing.
Yeah,
Take me out to the ball.
Our favorite song was I Had a Dream, Dear.
Hey, can you sing it? Come on, Leon.
I had a dream, dear. You had one too,
Uh-huh.
And I tell you, we'd sing that
Todd
song.
knows that song. Todd, you know that song? Come on, sing with Monty. One round.
Get Leon in there. He needs to.
Yeah, Lee.
No,
Lee,
my voice is gone.
I tell you, we'll when I come up there in April, we'll sing it for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Good.
I'd love that.
Good. We'll have everyone on the radio, and we'll all sing it together. And ask some questions of some real great players, including myself, because I batted 402 in the little leagues.
It gets a little more every time you say it, right, dear?
It was 402. All right, so it was 3 at bats. And
in your mind.
Something like that.
Let me ask you, Monty, when did Cooperstown Hall of Fame in New York finally begin admitting Negro League players?
1971. Satchel Paige was the first.
And who else has been admitted so far?
Well, you got Josh
Gibson.
Buck Leonard, Cool Papa Bell.
He's the guy that said Day had smoke.
Yeah, that's right. You got Oscar Charleston. You got John Henry Lloyd. You got the great Cuban player Martin Dihigo, Ray Danders, and myself. that were voted in from the Negro League.
And Judy Johnson.
And Judy Johnson, yeah.
Oh,
Rube Foster.
Rube
And
Foster.
Rube Foster, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget Rube Foster, all right, that's for
Yes.
sure. As a matter of fact, we touched on Rube Foster last hour.
Did you?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
stopped in to say hello.
Right. Yeah, tell me he's some kind of pitcher and, just a great manager.
Indeed.
He did his own publicity.
Well, I'm telling you, some of the publicity that we could learn a few things these days about the kind of publicity that was done in the Negro Leagues. I love those poles, those lights that the Kansas City Monarchs put together, but it could only be 15 feet up, right?
Yes, right.
They didn't have interconnecting poles at that time.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Monty, before we ask you some other specifics about the leagues and the Hall of Fame, we asked Leon what was his most memorable memory. You don't say that, do you?
That's
Just
good
his
enough.
greatest memory in baseball. How about for yourself? What's the most wonderful thing you remember about the game?
Well, you mean in the Negro League?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess when we won the championship in 1946, that was just a terrific feat for us because I think it was the first time we've been the world champions, and we beat the Kansas City Monarchs that year. And we only got I think 2 hits, but scored 3 runs. I think we beat them 3-2. That was just a great thrill. It was the first time we'd ever done it.
Monty, we touched on something else that was important concerning the Hall of Fame and how black players are admitted. Todd Bolton touched on it, but I'd like to get into that again because we always have new listeners during the second hour. How are black players admitted to the Hall of Fame? Could you explain what this procedure is?
You mean the ones that are playing in the Negro League?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, we got the Veterans Committee. You see, you used to have what they call a Hall of Fame Committee for Negro, for the Negro Leagues. But that committee was disbanded, and the duties was taken over by the Veterans Committee. Now, we're going to meet on the 17th there's 17 members, on the 17th of March.
Oh, March.
In Tampa. And each person eligible, and Leon is one of them. And of course, we're hopeful that we'll be able to get him in. We came close last year, and we hope to get the job fully done this year. Each person is discussed around the table by each person, by each member, and you can say whatever you want about the player that's in contention. And the thing about it, most of the time, it's only Roy Campanella, Buck O'Neill, and myself. We're the only ones that are able to talk about Leon. You see, and of course we're unanimous in our praise for him, and we hope to be able to get. I think it's get the 14 out of the 17 votes in order to do it. So we're very hopeful for this year.
Well,
but his name will be prominently displayed and discussed.
Well, I don't want to get into politics or anything, but do you think that the procedure is a fair and just one?
Well, I don't know whether it's the fairest way to do it. I think probably the way that we did it at the beginning was to have the Hall of Fame Committee for Negro Leagues. I think was probably the best way. That's because all those men that were on that committee had seen most of the Hall of Famers, the potential Hall of Famers play, knew their records, and see, you have to go a lot on hearsay because there's no records. That makes it very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So, but we make sure that that everything to be known is known, and then it's up to the other members of the committee to go along with it. That's what it boils down to.
Well, in the case of Leon Day, how can we and our listeners support his candidacy? Is there anything we really can do?
Well, you can write to the Hall of Fame members on the Veterans Committee and send them brochures and write-ups, and the thing that you did couple of days ago, honoring Leon in Baltimore, and Todd Bolton put together some statistics and some literature, some information about how great he was, and then with our being there to sanction it, this is the best way to do it.
Well, we're certainly going to submit everything that we have, but we still have a lot more stuff to come yet. We can't wait.
Well, that's fine, Bob. Keep doing it, would you?
Yeah, well, indeed, we're going to keep doing it. As long as we can stay on the air, we're going to keep doing it.
We need all the help that we can get.
Well, so when we gather our information, do we send it to each one of the members on the committee?
Yeah, you can send it to...
and that's 17 of them?
You can send it to Ed Stack up there at the Hall of Fame, and then he'll distribute it to the...
All right. Well, we'll put together 17 videos and 17 everything else's and send them on up to Ed Stack, because they really should take a look at what's going on down here in Baltimore, and we just can't wait to wait until we see exactly what the governor's going to be doing for Leon Day in the state of Maryland, not just the city of Baltimore. And
well, that's terrific. I think that's so good.
Well, it's so good to be able to do this kind of thing. It makes us all feel like we're doing something, rectifying an injustice that really is very long and standing. Could you name some other black ball players who also deserve the Hall of Fame honor?
Well, the first one, of course, that comes to mind is Willie Wells. Never a better shortstop ever lived than Willie Wells.
Why is that?
Because he was like a cat, and he was a great fielder, great going back on the ball, and he was a good hitter. He would have hit about 325, 330 in the major league. But his fielding is what was so terrific. I saw Josh knock him down with the ball one time, and he got up and threw him out. That's how hard the ball was hit.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd come out of nowhere and catch a ball and throw you out. He was unbelievable. Then you had a pitcher by the name of Raymond Brown was terrific. He could, it's like Leon. He could pitch, and then he could hit, play outfield.
Who did he play for?
Yeah, he's a great ball player. Then you had Turkey Stearns. He was a terrific outfielder, run like a deer, and great power, and just a great ball player. Then you got Mule Suttles. He, big first baseman. We used to call him the Babe Ruth of, he was a great curveball hitter and unbelievable power. A lot of the White Stars used to ask me, about Mule. Asked me if I knew him. I told him when I broke in, he was on the club. And then you got Smokey Joe Williams.
Oh,
another one. He was very fast, and he was the black Walter Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a great pitcher. And then there's some others.
Sounds like you got dozens of them that belong in the Hall of Fame.
You got maybe 15 guys that really. I'm talking about truly great stars. Sandtop, the catcher, was like Josh. He could hit, he could throw, and he was big and rugged. Played for a long time. And then there was Biz Mackey, the fellow who taught Roy Campanella how to. Used to play there with the Baltimore Black Sox, and then played with the Hilldales, and he managed there and managed the Elites. Taught Campy all that he knew about catching, and that's why Campy got off to such a great start, because he had a great teacher at Biz.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick Lundy. You can just keep naming them on and on. If these men, not that the today's players are not great, but I'm talking about these men we're talking about were truly superstars who enjoyed playing because you had to love it because they didn't make much money, and they did it for the love of the game and to please themselves and please the fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, they certainly did that. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah,
and,
unbelievable.
Well, I'm just so sorry I didn't get a chance to see all those great players play. Was the Willie
Wells?
Willie Wells, was he the bow-legged?
Yeah.
And so was Dandy?
Yeah, and he both he and Dandridge. Dandridge was quite bow-legged, but Wells not as much. But and both of them were about 5'9", 5'10", but could they play? It was like we had a dream infield.
Yeah, that was
you could hardly shoot a ball through there. with the infield that we had.
They called it the $1 million infield?
Yeah, oh, it was terrific.
Who was part of that infield before we take our break?
Well, you got Dick C, S-E-A-Y,
yeah.
and Mule Suttles. And then after Mule got old and retired, and they had Len Pearson, who was couldn't hit like Mule, but he, a much better fielder.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific infield. Then we had a guy by the name of Leon Ruffin catching, who, just like Campy, had a great arm, quick release, and threw strikes to second, to all the bases.
Who was that one player that had a rocking chair, the catcher that...
That was Pepper Bassett.
Why was he in the rocking chair?
Well, that was part of his flair. He'd do that to attract, attention to, to the fans, and they come out to see him do that. And, he'd sit back in there and then throw a strike, catch the ball, and then throw a strike to second base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did all kinds of promotion to get people to come out. Then they used to play that shadow ball. You take infield practice with no baseball, and that was something to behold.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then they played pepper. Some of the guys would keep every time they hit the ball to them, they'd keep the ball for about 30 seconds, just fooling around with it. It had all kind, rolling over on the heads, behind the backs, and then flip it over to the next guy. So they did all that to attract people, and people used to flock to see them.
Wow. Good. Well, we're going to need to take a pause here, and when we come back, we've got a big question, and no one won that last one. I can't believe it. All those calls, and nobody hit it on the head. Well, that's tough. That's the way it goes, friends. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking some more with Monty Irvin, Leon Day, Todd Bolton, Lee Sherman, Dr. Bob, Geraldine, and everybody else that's in the studio that's hanging around. Okay? All right. Now, Todd brought up something that was very important, and we wanted to mention that. Todd, what were we saying in that break there?
Monty, you had mentioned earlier about the difference between the Negro Leagues and Major League play, and saying that day after day you didn't always face the best pitching. And I was just pointing out to Bob that, of course, in the Negro Leagues there were only 60 to 80 league games per year, and on the off days you all were playing, picking up semi-pro games wherever you could.
Yeah.
And that your statement was not a negative statement regarding Negro League pitching. It was regarding the fact that you didn't have league competition day after day like you did in the major leagues.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's a good thing we clarified that.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you have anything else to add there on that one, Monty?
Well, no. I think Todd he explained it perfectly. But some of the semi-pro teams had real good pitchers, and we and against us, they would throw the best that they had. It's the black-white situation. They always try to beat the white team try to beat the black team, and vice versa. So it was like a natural rivalry kind of a situation.
Monty, could you get a little closer to your microphone there?
Yeah, okay, how's that?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now we can hear you. Now we can even hear you sing a little bit better.
Yeah, okay.
All right, before this hour closes here, and every line is lit up there, and they're all trying desperately to win that prize. That's the way it goes. You think they're going to win it, Leon?
Oh, yeah, somebody will win it.
You think so? Well, I don't know. Sometimes our folks out there don't take enough notes, and we desperately tell them they better take notes. We tell them to keep their feet flat on the floor, eyes straight ahead, no talking, and take notes. That's how they should listen to the show. Right, Leon?
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, the NLBPA, the Negro League Baseball Players Association, what is it, Monty?
Well, it's an association that was founded by Ed Schauder and Richard Berg, and just out of because they're great fans, and Schauder, of course, is a lawyer, and Richard Berg, he writes music. Just private citizens, very interested in the Negro Leagues, and so the association was founded, and it's now we're trying to help all the members, the guys who used to play. I guess maybe 150, 200 still alive, and all of them around 65, 70, 80, 90 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've I've become the president to try to help out a little bit, get a little publicity and raise some money for them. And we're doing a pretty good job. We're also receiving a lot of help from BAT. That's the Baseball Assistance Team. That's headed by Ralph Branca and Joe Garagiola. They've given us a lot of help, and they've helped a lot of the players too. I'm talking about players who didn't have any health care. Some of the guys who never made very much money, they need some help. So they're being helped, and we hope to give them some more help by all the things that's being done. And Bob, let me just say this.
Yes, sir.
By your, pitching in and helping, and of course Todd, he's been doing, been helping for so many years now. This all gives the fellows in the league some publicity, and now we funds have started to come in, and we're very appreciative of what you're doing, and I just want you to thank you, and by telling you this.
Well, that's very kind of you, but really, it's a great joy for us to do this. It really is. I'm just very happy that Zoe and I are on the air and can talk about this material, because unfortunately, I don't know why other talk show hosts and other people within the media don't pay attention to this. It's very short-sighted of them, maybe because they just, their backgrounds are too limited. Now, let's go to line 1, please. Line
Hello,
1, please.
Edward.
Hello.
Go right ahead. Do you have a question for someone?
Well, I have for Leon here. Does it recall Bugle Field?
Oh.
Yes, I do.
You recall at the end of the season you had the All-Star game between the ex-Orioles, some of the Orioles, and some of the Major League players like Jimmy Fox, Dizzy Dean, Satchel Paige throwing against Dizzy Dean. Oh, you recall that?
Yes, I remember.
Remember 1-0? Dean would beat him. Then he turned back next week and beat Dean 1-0.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
I got it on target. Now, is it so that Satchel Paige one day called the outfield in and got him out? Is that true?
I heard he did, but I never saw it.
All right.
I heard he did.
Did he say he threw him like peas, a little around the knees, a little over here, a little over there?
Yeah, he said.
He said that too, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he was throwing grains of rice.
Well, I pitched on that baseball diamond back in 1937 in a nighttime ball game. I won 7-2.
Whoa.
You pitched?
I was a sinker ball thrower. I could throw that sinker.
Oh, yeah.
But my fastball was too slow. Okay, God bless, Brother Leon.
Oh, thank you for calling, Ed. Well, my heavens, Ed knows a lot about angels.
You know Edward?
Edward's no, you don't know Edward? Well, we know Edward, and he's quite a guy. He actually he knows a great deal about angels. We're very great fans of you. I'm not talking about California Angels or those other baseball teams like that, but we're talking about heavenly angels.
Zahara
right?
angels.
Yeah, like my wife over here every now and then. Okay, I got kind of lost here. There are some other callers coming in there, and we're not going to be able to get to them? No, we're not. All right, well, we got 5 minutes left to go, and we're going to try to cram it full of a bunch of thises and thatses. Let's go back to Leon. You still there, Leon?
Yes, sir.
Leon, you and Monty. What position did Monty play?
Monty played mostly outfield.
Outfield?
He played a little shortstop, too.
Yeah, outfield within the majors. I played infield and outfield in the Negro Leagues for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you two folks, you were how many years apart in age?
3 or 4.
Just 3 or 4?
No, about 3 years. No, about 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years.
About 2 years apart?
Yeah.
So that actually you kind of like, were either of you mentors of one another? Or what?
Either one of us what?
Mentors of one another.
Well, I learned a lot from Leon. Yeah.
What about you, Leon?
I learned a little from him, too.
What'd you learn?
Well, I learned how to throw a little bit, and he's a pretty fast guy to be so big.
Yeah.
I just could beat him running, you know. he was a big guy, too. He could move.
Hey, Monty, when you were a kid, did you think you were going to grow up to be a ball player?
Well, I knew I was going to be a baseball player, but I didn't ever think I'd get to the majors. See, we couldn't aspire to play in the majors because it was, it was a closed thing then, and I think that's, what really hurt some of the black youngsters. Today, from day one, you can aspire to be a major leaguer. You can aspire to making $5 million a year, because there are no barriers. Thanks to Jackie Robinson, no barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
in all the sports.
Well, we got a couple of minutes left here, and I wanted to turn the microphones over to Leon, to Monty, Todd, and maybe even Lee if we got enough time to wrap it up this hour, because I know it's time for us to get ready for our third inning. But didn't Satchel Paige only pitch 3 innings at a time? Is that right?
Some games.
Yeah, to draw in the crowd, right? Okay, well, that'll be our third inning, next inning. Leon, what would you like to leave our Baltimore and actually Maryland listeners with tonight?
Well, I want to thank them for giving me a day, and I hope everybody good luck. And that's about it.
Are you going to the opening day at the Memorial New Stadium?
I may go.
You may go?
Yes, I may go.
I hope you go. You may be needed down there for a couple of reasons. All right. Monty, what would you like to leave our Maryland listeners with tonight?
Well, again, in honoring Leon, you honored baseball's, one of baseball's best in any era. And the most remarkable thing about those old players who never got a chance to play is the lack of bitterness. They said, well, that's the way it was. What we've done, we hope we've made a contribution, and we hope we've kind of paved the way for those who come after us. Mm-hmm. That's a great attitude to have, and most of them have this kind of attitude.
I'll say, when I listened to so many recordings of the players, that's what kept me, literally, I cried. I cried when I heard them, because all the abuse they received, and look what happened. Todd.
Well, I just like to congratulate you, Bob, on your endeavors here. This is wonderful, and also congratulate you on bringing 2 of the greatest Negro League players in history together for this opening show, because you have them right here in Leon Day and Monty Irvin.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, I've taken advantage of you guys.
I want to know when I get my pitching lesson.
Oh, yeah. I want to know when I get my batting lesson. I want to get back up to 402, Monty. You think you could teach me?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, we look forward to having you on again, Monty, especially sometime in April.
Yes.
For the Ben Taylor Memorial Fund.
Yeah.
We'd like you and Todd to stop on by and talk to us the week before that. I know we got to stop here. Friends, we'll be back next hour with Larry Lester in the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum out there in Kansas City, Missouri, right? Right. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Geraldine. And thank you, Baltimore. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Bob.